Hey mamas, so we've talked about choices during birth. We've talked about choices during pregnancy. Today, we're talking about choices postpartum. We are closing out the series, y'all. Tune in for the rest of this video. Hi everyone, my name is Leslie. I am a disciple, wife, mom, and childbirth doula, and this is where I share about all things birth, faith, and family. Today, we're closing out the series. This choices series has been going on for quite a minute, but I couldn't end it without going through some of the choices that you have in your postpartum period. And so we're gonna dive right in. Okay, so let's just be honest. Postpartum is hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's hard. If it's your first baby, it's hard because it's your first one, right? If it's your fifth baby, it's hard because it's your fifth one. And all of them bring their own challenges, right? But hard doesn't mean bad. Quoting Abby from M is for Mama, shout out to her, love her. You should follow her on Instagram. And all of her stuff, absolutely love it. But like she says, hard does not mean bad. And this is why I say, this is why during this time, just because it's hard, it just means that support is that much more important. The support that you have around you in the postpartum period is so important. So let's dive into what your choices are. Let's dive in so that you can prep for this, so that you can do some of the figuring out what's going to work for you, or trying to set some things up for yourself in advance so we can alleviate some of that. And so this can be a joyful experience for you. So choice number one is choosing when you have visitors. I know your in-laws and your cousins and a couple other people may not love this one, but you do have a choice around this. You do have a choice about when you have visitors. And I was just recently speaking with an IBCLC, and we were talking about lactation, and she was like, still in week 2, week 3, she's like, I wouldn't even recommend visitors till week 3 because you're still trying to develop all of these things. And so all of this to say that you have choice around this. And when you start hosting again is when you're ready to start hosting again. You should not feel like you're expected or need to be hosting people right away. You just had a baby, you need to recover, you need to rest, and you need to feed your baby. Like, honestly, you should just be focused on all of that. But you have a choice around this. So I recommend starting to have that conversation with your partner, starting to think about this, starting to have that conversation with your relatives and things like that in advance, just setting the tone for what you want and what you feel comfortable with, and telling people, hey, listen, when we're ready, we'll let you know, right? We'll send pictures, we'll check in, happy to call, but when we're ready, we'll let you know, right? Number 2, choose your supporters. This is you choosing, you have choices around this. You could do a meal train. I'll put the link down below. I always recommend a meal train, but this is something you can include on your baby registry so that people can sign up to leave you a meal, right? It might be a great way for people to feel like, oh, okay, I can stop by, quickly see the baby, but leave you with a meal, right? It's a nice way to kind of pair that when people visit with also something that you need and something that gets taken off your back. You don't have to worry about ordering takeout every day, but you could have like a home cooked meal from a relative, knowing that it's showing up, right? You could have, there's going to be friends, your close family and friends who are willing to come over and help you with some chores, right? That's okay. That's good. This is the time to say yes to all of those favors. I made the mistake my first time around, feeling like, no, I have to just do everything myself. No, I should have accepted more help. And in retrospect, I definitely did that the second time around, and I'm absolutely grateful, right? You could hire a postpartum doula. That's another choice. So deciding if you want a postpartum doula or a night nurse or something like that to help you, that's a choice that you can have. There's some postpartum doulas that do night shifts. Most of them do. Some only do day shifts. But again, they could also help with chores and meal prepping, and helping you, just someone to watch baby while you can take a nap or you can take a shower. All of that kind of stuff. If you are in a place where you don't have family and friends around you, consider a postpartum doula. Then you have choice number 3, choices around baby products, right? I have a minimalist list. Let me know if you'd like me to make a video sharing that, sharing what's on it, sharing what I consider like the basic minimal things that you need for a baby. I have kind of been on a trying to keep things as minimal as possible since I had children. And so I try to stick to this list for every baby. I mean, I probably have so little on my list for this baby now that it's ridiculous. But I have so many things from already having had 2 that I'm just like, no, I need nothing else. So choices around that as well. Again, will depend on if you're on baby number 1 or baby number 3. But again, if you're interested in seeing that list, let me know. Then we've got choices around feeding, right? So breastfeeding, pumping, are you storing up for going back to work? There's different positions that you can do for feeding. There is different schedules that you can go on to help either increase supply if you've got a low supply, or if you're suffering from engorgement, things that you can do to prevent mastitis. All of this stuff, there's all these choices around that. Let me know if you're interested in going into that further. You can get a lactation support counselor to come in and help to make sure everything's going normal. Or if you need further help, there are internationally board certified lactation consultants as well, IBCLCs, right? Then we've got choices around, you even have choices, I know it's gonna sound funny, but choice number 5, you have choices around how to burp your baby. I know that probably seems weird, but babies at first, their digestive system is just very new, and sometimes the one basic position doesn't always work. So if you're interested in seeing what those are, I'm happy to like bring a little baby doll, hop on a video and share that with you guys. Let me know in the comments. And then another choice you have is choices around sleep, right? There is the recommendation to always have babies sleep by themselves in a separate crib, face up. So many stuff around that. But let's just be honest, there's also other practitioners, other healthcare providers that are okay with that, recommend co-sleeping, right? Or that are open to it, or can speak to you about safe co-sleeping options, like having a bassinet that's attached to the bed and all of that, just to make it easier for recovery for moms, especially sometimes with cesarean births and things like that. Again, these are choices. I recommend speaking to your healthcare provider about what they recommend, but also, do your research around that stuff as well so that you can make the best choice for you. You've also got, even beyond this postpartum period, and beyond the first 6 to 8 to 12 weeks postpartum, you have that period beyond where other things are going to come up, like choosing how and when to sleep train, choosing how to play with your baby, what toys to introduce early on for their development within the first couple of months. Do you, like, what kind of music you want to be playing for them, right? There's people who play like Beethoven for their children since they're born. So, and then they become all these great like pianists, or they say it helps intellectually. I don't know the research around that. But if you're interested in having a genius baby, maybe you can look that up and let me know in the comments what the research says, right? Introducing, like deciding when you're going to introduce technology, all of these things that you have beyond, right? And we could talk about that. We could go into all that, right? But I want to share with you guys what I think is one of the biggest options, one of the most important options that you have every single day postpartum, every single day in motherhood, is you have the choice to choose joy. And that's a daily choice that you have to make, because this here thing, this here role, this here job, it's not easy. It is hard, but hard doesn't mean bad. And so I encourage you, there's just like, I've been reading through the letters, the epistles in the New Testament, and constantly what rings to me is that they always talk about grace and peace to all the brethren, grace and peace to the church, grace and peace to you brothers and sisters, grace and peace, grace and peace. And I've been thinking, yeah, that's a choice. Like, that's something like, yes, someone's wishing to you and you want to be blessed with that. And so I say to you, grace and peace, mamas, grace and peace, that God's grace would just abound unto you, and that it would just abound around you, that you would give yourself grace, give your children grace, give your husband grace, and that peace would be in you even through all of this. even through all the things that every day of being a mother, all the new things that will come your way, I encourage you to choose joy. I encourage you to hold on to the grace of God and the peace that surpasses all understanding that only He gives, and to do that through choosing joy, because the word says that He came to make sure that you would have joy, and that your joy would be full. And He means that through your children. They are a blessing, no matter what society today says. And so I encourage you during this postpartum period, don't isolate yourselves. Don't feel like, man, I can't talk about these hard days, or maybe it'll just seem like I'm complaining. And no, don't isolate yourselves. Have those conversations. Have those hard conversations with a close friend, with your partner, with God. Take those conversations to Him. He wants you to. And He will strengthen you to be able to get through it. And He will help to give you wisdom and strategy. And He will open you up to all this wealth of resources that are out there to help you with this stuff. And so I encourage you, please, if there's something that you're like, hey, I'd like to hear more about this, or what resources do you have to share? What are those encouraging resources that you have around motherhood? I'm happy to make a video sharing those. I've got tons of them. Because listen, we're not meant to do this on our own. We aren't. God meant us to be a body, right? That means there's multiple parts to us, right? And so I just encourage you, mamas, to whether this is your first baby, whether you haven't had babies yet, whether this is your 10th baby, whatever it is, wherever you are, knowing that God's plan for your life, it is beautiful and it is full of blessing, and He wants you to be full of joy. And so wherever it is that you are in your journey in life, knowing that He doesn't expect you to do it alone. He doesn't want you to do it alone. That's why He came. And so I encourage you to partner up with somebody, take on this challenge of, I encourage you in this challenge that you're taking on of being a mother, and to glorify God in it. And I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for this postpartum period for you. And it's going to be amazing. There's going to be some hard days. There's going to be some tears. But there's also going to be so many smiles and so many laughs and so much joy. So much joy in this time for you. And so I'm praying and believing that it's going to be beautiful for you, as it has been for me, and even on the hard days. And so with that, I bless you. We conclude this series. If you're interested in hearing anything more about other resources that I have, you can watch my free webinar on how to overcome fear. Link is in the bio. You can check out my online childbirth education course, where I go through a whole bunch of research around all of this. I share with you different baby products, different feeding stuff, different sleep stuff, all these kind of resources I share in my childbirth education course. If you're interested, the link is also down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all know what the deal is. I say it every time. All right, with that, God bless you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.